The first question I have is, would the same characteristics that we associate with America still be intact? Meaning, would we still have a country that was created on someone else's land? Will we still have a country where the economic system was built on the labor of enslaved people? And in a modern context, we still have America that's current economy is largely based on imperialism and colonialism, or what we call neo-colonialism.
You are now tuning in to TNJ Radio Show.
Well, I'm going to defer. I already know that Tierney has a unique perspective. Well, it's not unique in the sense that only a few, but it's a different perspective than probably a lot of the people that we talk to that we thought to bring the fire.
Well, first of all, the original question, I think it does have to be broken down, as you said. The original question being, would majority Black America, I believe, be better? So, in that sense, if we were to put a Black face on that, I would not say it's better. There's been many instances where there has been exploiters who have a Black face and they act as if they are essentially their master. Sometimes they're more effective because of their color. They are given more deference than a white man would receive. And we see that those people who are many times, if not always, sponsored by European entities, the people are just as oppressive and sometimes worse. So that would be my first question. If you're speaking of an alternative universe where America is a country that is not...
Let me just clear it up real quick, Tierney. So, basically, America exists, and then, something happened. Maybe, Thanos snapped his finger, and about, 80% of white people had disappeared, and as well as everyone else. And all of a sudden, the majority was Black people, and we just multiplied, and we became the majority. The power, the economics, the government, all of those different things were majority Black. So yes, because it's America, then everything else would have had to be the same. So
essentially the system's the same, and so I would not say it's good. And the other thing being a Pan-Africanist, I do not look at Africans in America's experience being separate from the global African experience. So I cannot imagine a universe where I am okay over here in America, whereas every single other country where I go, my people are suffering. Since I cannot detach those two things, I would believe that America being the same, the institutions being the same, but having a Black face on it would not be anything to be celebrated. Essentially, we would be becoming our own oppressors. So that's my view on that. You can even say that it's happened figuratively. If you look at a country like South Africa, a country that, similar to America, was based on settler colonialism. They had a constitution ratified, I believe, in 1994. And what changed? Still have the white people in the background who are benefiting from the institutions. We have a Black face politician, and now you have the people thinking that we have no way out because essentially the people who represent us are not representative of us. So we've seen this happen. We see it happen, I would say, currently inside of the African community. We see civil rights leaders who before were fighting to become integrated, and once they became integrated, they took the place of the master, and now they're in a place where they're being equally as oppressive to Black people. So I don't think that visualization is anything different than what we've seen before.
But us having a democratic republic style of government would be a little bit different than what's going on in South Africa or most countries in Africa?
South Africa has a democracy, very much. Right. They're just all the institutions we have in America. And that's why I'm not a big proponent of democracy in itself.
Well, we don't have a democracy here, right?
Well, that's what a lot of people say. I think that we have the system that was created to do exactly what it's doing. So, for example, whenever you look at the concept of democracy originally coming out of Western Europe, there's always been a certain part of society that would be given more benefits because in that context, they were property owners or they were slave owners. I think that the democracy in America does not depart from that democracy. So I don't think that it's not necessarily that the democracy is not functioning as it's supposed to function. I think democracy has always been thought to benefit one class of people aside from the masses. But if you're talking about the idealistic concept of democracy, I don't think any country is representative of that.
Well, that's not what we have here. But in you said South Africa, so they have a democracy. Do you think South Africa thinks they're oppressed? The South Africans?
Oh yeah, I just did a interesting panel with a number of Africans from South Africa that participated in the Soweto uprising, and the big issue that occurred after the 1994 Constitution was that you had Nelson Mandela, who we love him for some reasons, but we can also be critical of him for many reasons. One of the reasons is he made a deal that he would essentially accept majority rule, majority being Africans obviously, without requiring that the minority white property owners surrender the land that they had control. So today in South Africa, 10% of the population is white and they still own 80% of the land. Africans are about 80% of the population. They're all put inside these townships. Most of them are not landowners. So that's a democracy. Technically, they can vote, but the power is not there. If you don't have power, I would say anything else is a fluke.
Well, how do you get the power?
Power, you seize power. You don't beg for it. You don't plead. You don't ask the master. Power is something that victors win only. So there's, in my opinion, we haven't seen many examples of power being received because usually we're told we receive power whenever we receive handouts and representation.